When you think back to Frontier developments and the management titles it's released thus far, going from zoo management to dinosaur parks and Formula One, it's incredible how it all started from one franchise, Planet Coaster, a spiritual successor to the Rollercoaster Tycoon series, with the third game developed by Frontier. Planet Coaster emerged as a worthwhile alternative after Atari essentially ruined the former. Rough edges aside, it's a game where players could live out their theme park construction fantasies, bolstered by a strong community with extensive creations. Regardless of other titles, it's somewhat intriguing that it took this long for Planet Coaster 2 to happen. Between the improved visuals, the new career mode with its various scenarios, fresh systems like water park attractions and flumes, and more, it seems to build on everything that made the original great. Unfortunately, between the annoying bugs, questionable user interface, lackluster themes, and more, it's hard to recommend in its current state. Planet Coaster 2 starts off with the rudimentary modes, Career, Sandbox, and Franchise, playable with other players. Career has you scouring different locations around the globe and partaking in various scenarios. It starts simply enough, outlining the basics of park management and the new water attractions before delving into more specific missions, like restoring 4 busted coasters. Of course, you can also hang around in some scenarios and complete additional objectives, which help you get a grip on other systems like purchasing land and building flat rides, paths, and more from scratch. The problem is the writing. I know, no one is playing a theme park management title for the characters or the dialogue, yet Planet Coaster 2 insists on pushing them onto you while ensuring they're as irritating as possible. I'm sure someone thought an interaction between the Newton brothers regarding a distressed guest in a swimming pool where Eugene lost his wits while his brother had to comfort him would have been hilarious. However, even if you like these characters, the bit goes on too long, interrupting the pacing. The constant stream of jokes and sarcasm also begins to wear after a point, but the worst part is if you're a new player, there's no way to skip to the next dialogue. You can only skip the entire interaction, leading to some awkwardness when you suddenly have to build a power distributor and connect it to the power grid while wondering why there's a heat map suddenly brought up. At least the voice actors try their best to inject some enthusiasm into the proceedings, saddled as they are with this material. Outside of the writing, career mode and sandbox mode by extension also suffer from another significant flaw with the design: the UI. I've already seen impressions from PC players bemoaning how unintuitive and made for consoles it is, but there's good news, it's equally frustrating on the PS5. Moving around the park with the camera, zooming in and out while rotating isn't too bad. Anything slightly deeper than that is where problems begin to emerge. When selecting a building, you must navigate to Edit Building to make changes. This is fine on its own, but becomes all the more tedious when dealing with flumes. Several additional menus must be navigated for aspects like testing, with 3 separate buttons for closing, testing, and opening a ride, selecting different components, assigning staff, and whatnot. All those clicks for one aspect of one part of the theme park get tiring. It's not much better when generally navigating menus. To select facilities, you must navigate to different tabs using R1 and L1, go through several different icons for the desired one, scroll through those options, and then plop it down. And don't forget that there are also custom creations and pool extras to deal with as well, tucked away in their own menu. I can only imagine how much more annoying this will get when throwing in community creations from the workshop. The sheer amount of navigation and selection wears you down at best. At worst, it feels downright unenjoyable and demotivating. As for the whole water attraction aspect, there's much to improve on. Pools don't usually offer much on their own, and some elements like ladders feel outright useless since guests will just get up and out on their own. Good luck building a pool according to your desired path as well. You could put down points and attempt to curve them around, go with different shaped stamps, and end up looking awkward and whatnot, but they just don't feel intuitive enough. Don't even get me started on the flumes themselves. Meticulously balancing the lateral and vertical Gs with the right amount of excitement, ensuring the fear and the nausea is at a minimum, is irritating when guests mysteriously just stop riding on them. Frontier is at least looking into the physics, seemingly implementing scenarios where guests can fall off slides, but there's no ETA. There are several features yet to be implemented, from billboards and custom music to having several guests on a flume at a time and changing the weather in sandbox mode.
I knew you were the right pick for the job. It seems you're running out of space, though. That simply won't do. I'll transfer over some money for you to purchase the new area of land.
Here's hoping for some adjustments to pathing as well. Placing a staff building and mechanic workshop side by side and getting the option to create a merged path, only for it to not work multiple times in a row, is very frustrating. I also found the results somewhat perplexing. After receiving reports of guests being thirsty and navigating to the drink stand, I found no problems. This is on top of other bugs like character models clipping, shaky buildings when attempting to snap them near a specific path, etc. It's all the more disappointing because between all these design choices, missing features, and bugs, there is genuinely an enjoyable experience in Planet Coaster 2. Even its difficulty doesn't try to push or stress you out, setting up the ideal park with scenery pieces, building complex roller coasters, and testing them. Watching the rides careen off horribly before getting them right, and just observing your staff can be fun. And despite running at only 30 FPS on PS5, the visuals are better than ever, be it in the textures and intricacies of different coasters, the guests and their animations, or the environments. I also quite like the soundtrack with its relaxing tones, and the sound effects are on point. There's a satisfying twang when plopping down a diving board or hearing a staff manager exclaim in surprise when lifting them and placing them onto a specific place. Planet Coaster 2 has some interesting ideas, and with further refinement, I could see it becoming something special. However, as it stands, this feels like less a refined version of the original, prettier but ultimately lacking intuitiveness, ingenuity, or the right amount of polish to really make it shine. With time and updates, I can see Frontier turning this into a much more involving experience, but for right now, it's nowhere near as addictive or magical as its predecessors when it first burst onto the scene. Hey, did you know that we at GamingBolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.